So let's talk about healing. In an ideal world, if we do have access to some memories or awareness of significant events in our life, it can be incredibly helpful to say, oh, this experience here, this made me believe this about myself. When I go back to this relationship, the way that person talked to me, whether it was a parent or a coach, I started to feel this way, or I started to feel insecure about this part of my body or this part of my identity. Being able to go back, if you have it available to you, can be helpful just in opening awareness because our feelings of shame often stem from someone else or some societal expectation rather than an inherent flaw within you. That helps externalize it out of you that this isn't something inherent within you. These are learned responses. As you start to recognize your shame, whether you can pinpoint some of the roots or not, it can be really, really helpful to start to understand what some of your specific beliefs around shame sound like. When there's a hot emotion or an old wound that gets activated for us, there's usually a very particular story that comes up along with that. So being able to understand what's my shame story, what does that sound like? What are the thoughts? What are the fears? What do I tell myself about myself? What are the beliefs I tell myself? And actually, what are some of the patterns that come from those beliefs and those feelings inside my body when that's happening? Those patterns might be things like self-abandon, excessively caretaking, perfectionism, and overachieving. Oftentimes, those are ways to try to get the shame off of us or to be that presentable, acceptable version of ourselves to keep the connection. So understanding what my shame story sounds like and what does it pull me to do? And really looking at the impact of that. What do my relationship patterns look like? How do I feel within my own body? Does that affect how I eat, how I exercise, how I spend my time, how much I work? There's so much safety in hiding yourself, staying still, right? And that makes sense also just physiologically. If you think about what happens in your body when you feel shame, we're not like this. We're not open and free and breath is flowing. We're collapsed. We're hunched over. Shame really wants us to hide. And your posture, right, might really mimic that. So again, something else that you can notice as you're bringing more awareness to this. When that shame shows up, you can just reframe to yourself, oh, this is a younger part of me. It's getting activated right now, right? This is a younger part of me that through whatever experiences they had, came to believe that there was something wrong with me. If you can do that, that automatically starts to put a little distance between you and those beliefs and those feelings in your body because you're recognizing that it may or may not be a fact of what's happening in the here and now or a fact at all anywhere, but really is something that a younger part of you who needed connection, who needed safety, and who didn't have the capacity or skills to process in the same way, that's the version of you that came to believe this about yourself. The other part of that, and this is going to be accessible to you or not, depending on where you are in some of your work, is if this is a story or a sense about you that you can see came from maybe an abusive relationship, an unhealthy friendship, or from parenting. If you have the space to see that person a bit more objectively now that you're an adult, that can be really important when you're looking at your own shame. If the way that we came to see ourselves is through our parents or through those repeated impactful experiences that have made us feel that shame, we come to see ourselves through the eyes of people that are in our lives when we're younger. But if we can see now with adult eyes that those are people that are not actually super healthy emotionally, right? Maybe they have their own unresolved trauma. Maybe they have unresolved grief. Maybe they struggle with all sorts of things. But if we can see that more objectively and we can see that's not a healthy source of information, the way that person moves through the world, the way they view the world, then the way that they saw me and I came to see myself is inherently not true. That's not a good source of information on who I am. The more connected we are to those people in our lives, the harder it is to see them more objectively. But hold some space for that, that I've come to see myself through the eyes of someone who may have really their own mental health struggles, limited capacity, whatever else might be there.